Hey everyone, how's your Code Bar Fest going so far? Has anyone been to some of the other great workshops this week? Um, has anyone been to the CI/CD one? It looks a lot of fun. I saw we have someone here from Barcelona, which is really cool because the last time I was actually at Code Bar in person was at the Barcelona chapter. So that was fun. Were there any other great workshops the past 3 days that you all really liked?
There's definitely a few familiar faces of people that I know went to some of the other ones.
Oh yeah, and it's great. We have like a good group today. I'm James, and I'm here with my buddy Burhan. Hey Burhan.
Hey guys, hope
So
you're doing good.
so Burhan and I met actually a year ago over Instagram, and it's a funny story. I was working on I make YouTube videos, I teach coding online, I work on a lot of open source projects, and he just messaged me and he said, "Hey, I love what you're working on. Do you want to go to an online hackathon together?" And so that's how we met. And since then, we've been working on all sorts of cool stuff. And the topic of today's workshop is building with AI. So shipping web apps using AI to help you to write the code. And we're teaching this in a way that like it's accessible to anyone at any level. And today you all will actually get to build, get to be building things. And it's really, really cool how easy it is. Wouldn't you say, Burhan? How easy?
Yeah, it's like pretty smooth now as you guys could see my background, right? Where ideas begin. So the
Oh,
only thing limiting you is like your ideas now. It'll
yeah.
be cool.
And it's gotten way more accessible over the past couple of years while we've been playing with these.
Totally.
And the most exciting part is we're going to basically be giving you um free credits today. Like we have some API keys that we're going to share with you all. So these tools that normally, might cost money to use, we're just going to be letting you use them for free. And then also, we're focused really on open source because we believe that for anything that's out there, there should be something at least as good that's open source. So yeah, that's a little intro. But yeah, would love to learn a little bit about you all. Um, what's your experience programming so far? Are you seasoned senior web developers or just starting to learn how to code? And have you made apps using HTML, JavaScript, jQuery, PHP, TypeScript, Ruby, Java? Let's see. Okay, cool. Everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
Great. So we have we have a Java addict from Eindhoven in the Netherlands, and we have mid-level backend developer, mainly in React for front end and Node Kotlin for the backend. All right, sounds like we have some real experience here. Um, Mid-level React and Java. Is Java Spring Boot? Made Flask app and Java app during a coding boot camp. Cool. Tinkering with JavaScript and front end. Software engineer, TypeScript, Node.js, and React full stack. Python. What Python libraries do you use to make apps? And just finished coding school at the age of 42. Awesome. Learned C, C++, and Docker. Oh, Great. Yeah, those are all really good skills, even outside of web development. Junior front end, mostly React. Yeah, React is really, really popular. And it's so popular that when you're using AI tools, it tends to be the preferred framework. So, oh, we have more coming in still. Okay, HTML, CSS, Java, Python. Cool. Python, Fast API, React, Postgres. New encoding, learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Python libraries, code a lot with AI. Great. Anyone else here coding a lot with AI already? Student mainly Fast API, React, Node.js. LangChain, not a web development stack per se, but could be used for the backend, definitely. Very cool. Okay, hopefully that's it. That's a lot of experience we have in here and very, very different. Okay, Python, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and a lot of different ones. But to start out, I actually just wanted to, oh yeah, so this is what we'll be doing today in the workshop. We'll be doing, when you go to a lot of workshops these days, they'll be like, this is the tool you need to use, and this is it, and this is the best one, and it always has been, and it always will be. For this workshop, we're going to do it differently. We want to start and tell you all the whole story. Where does AI coding come from, and what is everything out there that you might want to know before you decide what tool you're gonna be using. There's hundreds of AI coding tools. There's there's new ones every week. So it takes, I can't even keep track of all of them myself. And then we'll be going through some, we'll be actually building together. But first, I actually wanted to, while we're talking about our experiences, I actually wanted to interview Burhan. And I wanted to ask you, because Burhan and I have really different experiences. I've been doing web development for 20 years. And I taught myself HTML and JavaScript using a website called W3 Schools. Has anyone used this?
Yep.
Yeah. And that was it at that time. And books. We had books. And I learned a lot from Burhan because he has learned to code, of course, using AI, because he's started during that time. So Burhan, when was the time when you first decided? First of all, how old are you?
Yeah, I'll start off with like you have 20 years of experience in like coding, and my age isn't even 20 yet. So
How old are you?
I'm 19. I'll be turning 20 in like a few months.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And where do you live and where do you go to school?
Yeah, I'm from Pakistan and I'm studying computer science as my college major. And I'm in my sophomore year, my fourth semester. And I didn't have prior coding experience before college, but I did have interest in like coding stuff because of like my whole childhood has been me gaming and attached to computers. So I did have an interest, but I wasn't aware of coding at that moment.
So the ChatGPT came out around just when you started studying, right?
Yep, like right when I right when I joined.
Had you tried coding before that?
Not before ChatGPT. Yeah,
Okay. And
yeah,
so how did you start learning how to code?
right. So like our courses started with C programming language, right? And then we had, first of all, I was obviously using like trying to solve each assignment in that with like investing time and like solving them. But
Mm.
then we excelled to like C++, and so like it kept changing, right? So it uh like it was more of a transition between different languages, and then AI obviously helps you in learning stuff quickly, as I would say it. So it definitely helped me during my assignments and homeworks. Yeah, that's how I picked it up.
Okay. And do you notice how many of your classmates using AI, and what kind of tools are they using?
Right. Now that it's more complicated, not necessarily complicated, more easier, like with tools like Cursor. But previously we had just ChatGPT, right? And now we
Mhm.
have Cursor, we have Bolt, we have Lovable, like tons of different tools for coding. Most of my classmates are still loyal to ChatGPT.
Oh, really?
And yeah, so like it's definitely interesting to see that
Well,
people,
that's so interesting. So ChatGPT is actually bigger for coding than Claude in
yeah, in my college, yeah, definitely.
okay. And do you have any advice for people who are just starting to learn how to code now?
I would just say it's all trial and error. So you gotta try it. You will encounter errors. You have to understand them and then solve them. Yeah, of
Agreed. All right. Thank you for the interview. Now we'll go
course.
to the next bit. Oh yeah, so we work together. We are not like really a company, but we're just a group of friends, me and Burhan and our friend Akhilesh and Victor and Omar. We all met online the same way, just hitting each other up in the DMs and saying, "Hey, I love what you're working on. Want to write some code together." And what brings us together is basically we're just really excited about the ability of AI tools to like give you a little bit more leverage while you're coding. For some projects, it might just be like a little boost, like a little autocomplete, or for other projects, there's tools where you can like just almost write the whole thing end to end using AI, and you don't even need to know coding. And so we're just like it's just like a little fun group and we have a Discord server, and we've worked on different projects. We have one that's sort of like a main project that we work on that's an AI code editor. But the main thing is everything completely open source, totally inclusive. You whatever your experience level is, you're welcome to get in and hack with us on a project. Okay, so this is um, this is really, really interesting now because it's 2025 and the past 3 years have just like flown by, right? I mean, I remember when ChatGPT came out, it doesn't feel like it was um, 2.5 years ago. Um, but at that time, we can even go back, another year. Before then, there was the first LLM that was trained for writing code, and that was called OpenAI Codex. Really similar to GPT-3, they just trained it on a lot of code, and that was in July of 2021. I wasn't really paying attention then, but if you go back and you read this paper that was put out by the researchers it's called something like evaluating LLMs trained on code. They sort of talk about a lot of stuff. Um, they sort of talk about a lot of stuff that predicts all of this that's going to happen. Um, not they're not saying they're just showing in this paper. They're not saying the specifics. They're just showing this paper that LLMs actually can write code, and that was sort of the first time that was shown, and it's really cool. Then later, there were a couple demos, but nothing big from that. Then later that year, GitHub Copilot came out. I remember trying it for the first time. It was super slow for me, and I put it back in the closet. um, Next year, Codium was one of the first VS Code extensions to sort of integrate LLMs. Also, wasn't really, I think it didn't catch on. Um, but then GPT 3.5 came out in 2022, and that's sort of where things started to change, to pick up. And that's when I first started using AI for coding, and I was like, oh wow, like I can write a lot of JavaScript with this. Um, and so I started using it for, just a little weekend project I had. In 2023, that's where things started. This was like the biggest year for AI coding. You had Cursor, and keep in mind, everything up to now was closed source LLMs. And then right after that, Meta released Llama, which I think, right, Burhan, was basically the first LLM that could write code.
Open source.
There's open source one that could write code. And that's a big accomplishment. And it's really great that they made it open source. And when we say open source for an LLM, what we mean is not the code, but an LLM is just a bunch of matrices with numbers in them. And so if you make those publicly available, you can run the LLM on any computer you have without a connection to the internet. That year, Aider was released, which is it's not widely popular still, but it's very it was the first, I think, was the first effective AI agent for writing code. It's a command line tool, and it's open source as well. You can run it on your computer, and it can read multiple files and write code to multiple files. So really cool. I mean, limited, but also completely open source and useful and very useful. And then at the end of that year was V0, obviously completely blew up on Twitter. And Replit started really, they had already been putting AI into their stuff, but then they really started embracing AI and even releasing coding, open source coding LLM of their own. Let's go. Okay, so 2024, last year, Claude 3.5 came out, which was, why is that important? Because until then, GPT was basically the reigning champion when it came to writing code. And then this showed that another company could actually make an LLM that is even better. I actually use Claude when I use both, but when I use Claude, I noticed that it solves things that GPT doesn't solve. So that was kind of a changing of the tides. And Bolt came out, which is, I think Burhan and I really like Bolt, right? We think it's maybe one of the easiest to use.
For sure. Like to get started, it's like perfect.
And Windsurf came out, competitor to Cursor, from actually made by Codium, the same Codium that released the early VS Code extension. And then in 2025, there was we started seeing the first stuff from outside the US blowing up, which was DeepSeek and Trey, which is actually made by ByteDance, which is the same company that makes TikTok. They even released a competitor to Cursor. So every year things have just gotten more and more interesting. Looking back at this, it's just really interesting to imagine, like, what will the next 5 years look like for AI coding? It's definitely not going to take away the profession of coding. There's no need to worry about that. It's going to help you, and it's going to be something fun to play with. So for the next part, I actually forget what was on my next slide. Oh yeah, for the next part, but this is perfect because I thought it'd be fun to sort of, let's play a game, and between all of us, let's see how many AI coding tools that we can think of.
Do we just type in the chat?
Yeah, for sure. But Burhan, you're not eligible to win this one. You know.
I was gonna name all 150.
We have the answers. We have a list of over 100 of them. Let's see how many we can think of between all of us. Okay, cool. So GitHub Copilot, that's the original. Tab 9 for auto completion. Yeah, Tab 9 is an extension that allows you to, like, add different LLMs in your editor specifically for auto completion. Leonardo AI. Have you heard of that one, Burhan?
No, I just searched it up.
Neither. That sounds interesting. Replit. Yeah, I use Replit. It's really handy. IntelliJ AI, Microsoft Copilot. Yeah, so it's GitHub Copilot, right? No, Microsoft Copilot is different. Google AI Studio, Devox Genie. Never heard of that. Claude Gemini. Yeah, and Claude has something built in like Claude artifacts, which can actually like show the app that you're building. Devin. Yeah, has anyone used Devin? All right. Any others that you all are using? I'd say between the two of us, we've probably tried. Oh, thanks for the link. I'd say we've probably tried a lot. I don't know, like 50 or something. 20 to 50, yeah. So now I'll show you my list. Unless there's any others. Okay, yeah. So now I'll show you my list here. You go to this website, and this is a GitHub repository which has awesome AI-powered developer tools. And what I mean here is that it's any tools that write code. So it has to be able to write, refactor, test your code. And I've divided it up into, this list has become unmanageable. Like it's still organized, but we have not had the time to add. It already has maybe 150, but we haven't had time to add all of the tools to it. So there's like IDEs, obviously, that you can download as a standalone app or run in your browser. You have things specifically for Git. You have, these are assistance is something that goes into your existing IDE, like a VS Code extension. Oh wait, no, an assistant is, I got that wrong. So these are like the IDE extensions here. But the assistants are more like you can, it's like it's like a chat. It's basically a chat bot that can help you to write code, basically, sort of like Claude or ChatGPT, but it's not a complete IDE that will allow you to also write code in your normal way that you write code. So that's what I mean by like an assistant, like a web-based assistant, IDE extension. There's command line tools. Let's see. We have, yeah, more tools just for writing command line commands like bash. And then these are tools that are supposed to be able to write entire applications by themselves. Oftentimes they fall short of that, which we can talk about more. These are AI tools where you just make a pull request in your GitHub repository, and then the AI agent just runs off that and then comes back to you with a solution which you can then approve if it's correct. So it works through the GitHub pull request pages. App generators, which is mostly what we're going to focus on today. These are ones for like making visual apps that you can see right away what you're building. And UI generators is the same, except it's basically just front end, whereas an app generator is like full stack. And these ones, I just snippet generators, writing documentation, so many, searching code and testing code. So that's just like an overview of how, that just gives you an idea of like how many different tools there are. Now we can narrow that down really quickly, actually, because, oh, does someone have the hand raised? Yeah, sorry, I didn't see that. Was your hand raised for a while?
No, it's okay, James. I think as you're doing it, I thought just quickly remind you, maybe it'd be good for you to send us the link in there so we can get access to it.
Of course. Actually,
Yeah.
someone just did.
Someone has shared it.
Thank you for reminding me. I'll do it next time.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if you just a reminder, if you want to, it's kind of like a wiki except for, you know, we approve everything. So if you want to make a pull request, you can, well, first what you do is you would clone it here. By the way, your hand is still raised. Did you have something else?
No, it's okay. Sorry, I'll put it down now.
Okay. If you wanted to to add something, you would just hit a fork, and then you would you can change your version. You can make a PR, which will add it back into ours. So, where was I going with this? So, oh yeah, I was talking about. So there's a lot of tools. We can actually narrow that down pretty fast if we're looking for tools that one, work really well, and two, are open source, and that you can get started, you know, with very limited coding experience. And so, yeah, those are the tools that we're going to focus on in this workshop, and we're going to let everyone try them. So we're going to do two tools today. We're going to show how to use two different AI coding tools today. The first one is really the most accessible, we think, and it's open source. We've made very small, Burhan has made small contributions to that one. And we've hosted it, we've put it up for free, a hosted version. And then the second one is a little more, slightly more advanced, but still beginner level tool that we wrote a lot of code for. And that's more, a little more capable. And they're both open source free tools. So yeah, Burhan, if you could start out with just like a quick demo of, if you could share your screen and just first show us a quick demo before going through the details, that would be really, really nice. Oh, Burhan, you're on mute, by the way. Are you there? Maybe we lost him.
It looks like he's frozen.
That was bad time.
He's gone. Let's hope he'll come back.
Yeah.
Always happens at like the wrong time.
I was like, hello? I thought he was just sharing his screen, and then I looked and he was gone.
Tech K, who would work with it?
Oh.
Hey.
Hey.
Are you back? Well,
are you back, Burhan? Can you hear us?
So yeah, I have another one as well that I wanted to show. Although, I think it's probably it's a little better if he goes first because his is more his is like a little bit more accessible. It's like the more beginner level version. But I can get, oh, Burhan.
Oh, hey
You're back.
guys, I'm sorry. My internet. Oh, so do I start?
Yeah, please.
Okay. You guys can see the screen, right?
Oh, yeah, but first show the demo real quick.
I just built this like in the morning, and this would actually help us understand once we go through this, the slides would actually make more sense. So For reference, this is bolt.diy. Most of you guys might have heard of bolt.new. It's actually an open source version of bolt.new. Bolt.new itself is also open source, but it's not maintained, unlike bolt.diy, which is more flexible in the sense that you could use and pair up like tons of LLMs with it, as you guys could see. You could use Anthropic, you could use Cadastral, you could use OpenRouter, or you could use like tons of stuff, like right in your browser. And for this demo, we'll be using Anthropic's Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And yeah, I just I just give it a prompt. I just said build an aquarium. So the reason that I chose a prompt that was this general is because how the AI agent categorizes the prompt into building something like this that you guys could see. If I click on add fish, it actually adds the fish. If I click on add food, it actually drops the food and fish eats it and then it gets bigger. Just
So
by
all
me.
you did was you prompted this tool with 3 words.
Yeah, build an aquarium. Yeah, that's
And
what I'm saying.
it wrote how much code?
It wrote like this amount of code. That's
Wow.
like
Okay.
almost 9, 10 files.
Yeah.
So we could also see the thought process of it. It says I'll create an interactive aquarium simulation using HTML, canvas, HTML canvas, and JavaScript. This would be a visually appealing web application where fish swim, and then it came up with the feature itself. It uses Swipe to set up the project for the front end, and then for the aquarium canvas, it uses these files, HTML, CSS, and yeah. So it actually added interactive elements like adding the fish, feeding them, and also the toggle bubble button. Because I didn't prompt it with anything, right? I just said build an aquarium, and it came up with this. Yeah, it actually built that in less than 15 seconds. We could, but you know what? We could actually try it, and
So I bet people probably want to try this already, right? So I
right.
put in the link. I put in the link in the chat, and I will make I will share also a API key with everyone. If you don't have an API key for Claude, Burhan will show how to yeah, if you don't have an API key for Claude. And I don't know if this API key will work if everyone uses it at the same time.
We'll
But
figure it out.
let's just try it. And I think I think it can work. So I'll put that in a second so everyone can give it a shot. Anyways, you can continue.
Okay. So yeah, the setup is pretty simple. You guys go to this website that's shared to you guys in the chat, and you got to select Anthropic from the bar top-down menu, and then select Anthropic, and then we'll be using the latest thoughts 3.7 Sonnet, which came out last week, right? And
Yeah.
it's pretty good, and it writes very neat code. So once we select Claude 3.7 Sonnet, uh, we should see that the Anthropic API key is in set. So all you gotta do is like click on the edit API key and then paste the API key that James has provided you guys with, and then just hit enter. Once you guys are able to do that, it's like you guys could take it on from there.
Okay, I'm making the API key right now and I'm pasting it here in the chat. So I'll disable this sometime after the workshop, maybe in a few days, so everyone gets a chance to try it. It's also easy to set up on your own, but you do need a credit card, and that's just you're only if you do get this, you're not paying for the tool, you're only paying for the use of the LLM, which is very cheap. It's just cents, you know.
Yeah. Also, like, you don't necessarily have to start with scratch inside Bolt. You could import any existing project that you have, or just clone it from GitHub inside the whole platform. So
So a
it's
couple of questions. Someone says, how do you choose which model to use?
right. So yeah, you guys might have to refresh it if you guys don't see this bar. It takes time to load. So just give it a second, refresh it. You guys will be able to see it.
And someone says, so does bolt.diy work like something to help improve the prompts and have an IDE work space for the code to run?
That's a good question. So bolt.diy would basically be, it's actually using uh, web previews. Like it's storing, it's working everything inside your local browser history. Like it would store the files in the browser local storage, and it will run everything locally, right? And once you give like the prompt, the AI agent will like create the files, and then it give you a similar experience of an IDE right in your browser. So
Are you gonna run it?
yeah, it's everyone set up. We could use the same prompt, uh, or you guys could suggest anything, maybe.
Sure, yeah. Anyone can suggest something. Let's build something. Who has an idea? Let's see. Kimberly, you have any apps, any app ideas?
Oh dear, the big question. Oh, here you go. Oh, write an app that tracks. Someone's put write an app that tracks Elon Musk's private flights.
Yeah, I love it. Now, it might not work exactly as you expect, but we could probably make the UI really nicely.
Or we could pick someone nicer. Unless we're going to use it to interrogate him and trash him, then yeah, let's do it.
Well, just by popularity, this one already has a lot of
There's a
them.
lot of laughing emojis to it. Yeah,
We
we can
could,
estimate the carbon emissions. That's a good idea.
yeah, that's great. I love that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that one. That rather than just track the flights, like the carbon emissions. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Should we make an Elon Musk carbon emission calculator, Burhan? Cool. Let's see. I think he's popped off for a second, but that's okay. I can also just run this one until he's back. So just so everyone's clear, here you have Anthropic, Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Feel free to experiment with with all of them. You need different API keys for each one. That's all. So this one will work for all of the Anthropic models. And this is the newest model, Claude 3.7 Sonnet. So we're gonna, here, I can click this pencil button and I can paste it in here. And so I'll just say like, make a calculator to help me estimate Elon Musk's the carbon emissions his private jet. So on the left side, we have the AI assistant, and Burhan's going to explain in a minute how that works, all of the thinking behind it. And on the right side, we see the code. It's like a little mini version of a code editor. Someone asked why we use Claude and then Anthropic Claude, and then someone asked what models offer a decent amount of free credits. The first question, we use it because it works really well. Now that can change any day. New models come out. So 3.7 is a really good model. And yeah, try them out. Try out different ones. Let us know which ones you like. As far as like a free one, Google Gemini, I think they offer a lot of free credits, and the coding is pretty good too. So yeah, so what happened here is that basically if we expand this thought process, you can see that before writing any code, it's sort of come up with a plan. Oops, I lost. Here it is. And clicking on it made it shrink. So this is all just prompt engineering in a way. In the code of bolt.diy, they've written an API call to the LM saying, take this basic plan and come up with a more advanced plan. So that says, I'll create a calculator to estimate carbon emissions from a private jet. I need a simple web app with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. One of the first things that it does is it decides what stack to use because I didn't tell it which stack to use. Now, Bolt only works with JavaScript-based tech. It won't write something in Python, Java, Ruby, etc. And that's mainly because this preview that they have can only run JavaScript code. It's all doing the whole preview in your browser. And then it's made some steps. I'm gonna make a form. I'm gonna make calculation logic, and I'll create a web-based calculator. Okay, so that's just summarizing. And then it's gone here. I think it's probably a bit bigger, smaller, so you can see more. So then it's gone. It's actually done a series of steps. And it has two kind of things it can do. It can write files, and it can actually run commands, command line commands. So if you were making a React JavaScript application, for those who do, one of the first things that you need to do is you need to have like a package.json type file in your application, which keeps track of all the dependencies. And I actually do not know how I just closed that. I think I just need to click on this again. There it is. So here, so then it would go, and then here it goes and one by one writes each of these files. So the index.html, the style.css, and the main.js, right? So it's individually written. It's made a separate LLM call to write each of these files. And so this is a lot of HTML in this one file. Here it's, oh, actually it's not using React. It's just using plain vanilla JavaScript for this one. But you could ask it to use React, since that's also JavaScript. And so after all of that's done, it just gives some more ideas for what you can do with it, and that's it. Then this little preview takes all the files, and this is not deployed on the internet. This is just a little preview running in your browser of the code. And so here I can choose a different jet. Elon has a G650, and I can, take a trip maybe to Europe, and I can take my friends, and I'll do that once a week. So it gives the estimated emissions. It's quite a lot. 815 homes electricity use for a year. That's a lot, right? And then here it gives, okay, and it gives a little chart, which is coming from, must be a library that it imported, right? So has anyone else, while I've been talking, has anyone else managed to get something working? Has anyone else managed to create something cool? Let's see. Someone says it can do Python scripts. That's interesting. I believe it can write them, but I don't think it will be able to run them. But maybe I'm wrong. Like I don't think it could make a Streamlit application, for example. But maybe, who knows? Yeah, I'd love to see someone else try it out. So it's not just me. Is anyone else? Let's see. Federico, were you able to get it to work? Let's see. Kun, were you able to make something?
I got the API key wrong, so I kind of had to redo it. It copied your name when I copied it off here. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I just edited it to put in, so I'm gonna try again.
Okay. Okay, Lionel did the same prompt. How was it different than the one I made, Lionel? And Suhail got some errors. So you got build a money expense tracker app with dash. That was your prompt. Build a money expense tracker app with dashboard and cards using minimalistic UI. Suhail, would you want to share your screen actually? Oh, either way, would you want to share your screen? Actually, it would be cool to see the one that you made. Cool. Yeah, I'll stop mine. And I think Kimberly, can you share your screen?
Can I share my screen?
No, can Suhail share his screen? Will it allow that?
Yeah. It should be that all participants can do it.
Oh, hey Burhan, welcome back.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
there you go.
sorry.
No worries. I'll let you do my demo. How's that?
Cool.
Here's the
Hi, hello.
Oh, hey.
Hi, okay. Can you hear me? I hope
Yes.
it's clear. Yes, hi. Thank you for the opportunity. So yeah, this is what I gave as a prompt. And for a while it was struggling with something. I don't know why it was giving this preview error, React not defined.
Oh, interesting. Okay, React
Yeah.
not defined. Okay.
So I just then there was a pop-up asking like, would you like to, fix this error? And I kept retrying, and then it apparently did it in its third try for some reason.
How many times did you have to retry before it worked for you?
I think the fix button didn't work. Like it kept. So I just copied my own prompt and retyped it over here, and then it kind of worked on its own. So I'm not sure. I haven't checked the functionality, but it looks like it is working in a way. So yeah, so this seems pretty neat. It does work. That's too much for food, but yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. Can you see yourself using this for something in real life? Or like, is this an app that you would want to build, or can you see something for an app that you really want to build?
I mean, it is something I would want to build. It's definitely going to help me learn further more about, how the coding is going to work, because I want to explore this web development side. So maybe because of that, this might be helpful. And it's teaching in React as well. So, and one of the members has said it can do Python. So maybe it can do Next.js. So that would be something more helpful, I believe.
Yeah, it can do Next.js. Do you use mostly Python or JavaScript normally?
I'm actually in web development. I'm very, I just use JavaScript, HTML, CSS, along with Python for the front end. This is what I have worked with. React, I'm very new to React. I'm not profound in React yet. So that would be my next move, I believe. But yeah, this will definitely help out. So this is nice, I guess.
Yeah, nice. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So someone had mentioned that it's kind of hard to deploy directly from here. It's not like Replit or something where you can directly Burhan, do you want to share your screen again? It's not like Replit where you can just directly ship something to the internet, but there is a way that you can actually there's a pretty simple way you can just download the code and then you can upload that to a website like Netlify. And I'll give you a link to Netlify, which is a free hosting service for React and Next.js applications. And that's really cool. Someone made a UK lottery number predictor. So if you get rich off of that, I hope that we at least get some cut out of that, please.
James, is it okay to share my screen with you? I don't know what's happening, but I wanted to share. So maybe if I'm going wrong somewhere, right now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Okay, coming up. Do it again. Okay. Just 1 minute. It's a little tricky sharing it. Okay, let's see. Is it up now? Okay.
It is, it is.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we can see it now.
You can see it now. Okay. What I put in just to kind of give me the codes for an interactive quiz. So I was hoping that it might show a bit of it, like how you see on the UI, but I can't see nothing there. I can only see the codes at the
Oh,
moment.
interesting. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So yeah, I haven't seen this error before, but do you see where it says please enable storage partitioning?
Which side is it?
So on the right side, you see where it says please enable storage partitioning?
Okay, let's see.
Inside the preview, yeah. Do you see that link?
Okay, okay. Okay.
So
I'm figuring.
it's interesting because we're all using Chrome here. It must be, it looks like you need to change a setting in your Chrome settings. And that will do it. So try that.
Or just try using a different browser.
Or you could use different browser. Yeah.
Okay. Let me try clicking on it. It's not even opening.
Try copying and pasting that into your browser URL.
Let's see if I can use a different browser.
I'm quite confident that that will work. So give that a shot, and Burhan, if you want to continue, then we'll come back.
Then. All right, I'll stop sharing and then try and redo it. All right.
Yeah, patience. That might actually be because of the rate limiting, because everyone's using the API key. You might want to retry and it would work.
Okay, yeah. I stopped sharing now. Is it okay?
Another thing you could do, patience, if we think that we're being rate limited, because I did give this API key to 20 people in the chat, is you can change the model to 3.5, which should have a different rate limit.
Yeah. Let me share my screen. Should we just get to like the underlying concept of how it actually works?
Please.
Okay. So we're using Bolt, and what actually is Bolt? Bolt is an open source web app builder that works locally, and you could pair up any LLM with it. And the question is, why would you want to use Bolt? instead of tons of other AI builders that James has showed us, like in the GitHub repository. It's the main word is like it's more flexible in terms of pairing up with different LLMs, whether it's free or you could use OpenRouter or even set up Ollama to run the LLMs locally, which is pretty cool because you won't have to pay a penny for that. And this gives you a flexibility when you use bolt.diy in comparison to bolt.new, which is like the paid version of Bolt, in which you have to pay. But in bolt.diy, you could run everything locally and you don't have to pay anything. So it does give you an edge. So that's why we're using bolt.diy. And how does it work? So this error actually leads to a different uh, page, which is this one. We'll get into a bit of concept. We'll keep it simple as it is. And the way it actually starts is like we get a user prompt, whatever you guys prompted, and then we have already selected a model for processing, right? We're using Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And what actually does is like it collects relevant context for the request. Like if I ask it to build an aquarium, it would think like, what does an aquarium, what would the aquarium look like in a web app? So think I should probably use React.js for it, or I should probably use Tailwind for it, like stuff like that. So it would collect relevant context, and if it already has a chat history, it would also pair up with the relevant context and come up with a comprised uh, to-do list, which we'll see in the slide again, like with the live example on how it actually sums up everything. So once we know that we might want to use React.js, we're gonna enhance the prompt for accuracy. Because remember when I asked it to make an aquarium, I just said that make an aquarium. I want an aquarium. So it actually came up with a different and more structured prompt, which said like create an aquarium using HTML, CSS, and you could include the functionalities of giving them food and adding fishes. Because I didn't say none of that, right? I just said make an aquarium. But enhance the prompt by sending the request to uh, the LLM to improve the prompt further for better results. That it does it like automatically, you don't have to do anything. After that, once we have the prompt ready, which is like a more structured prompt, there are total three paths that you would most likely choose. So if we're starting from scratch, we would most definitely go to the path one, which is like the code generation, because I gave it build like the last enhanced prompt was like build an aquarium using HTML, CSS. Then it will use that context to the AI LLM, which was Claude 3.7 Sonnet, and it would generate the code, right? And we're after generating code, we'll be updating the file system. And then we're using Web Containers API to run Node.js in the background. So like we have the code, we make the files, and then we preview it by running commands on the shell. It does everything local, like on its own. Like it would install the libraries and packages, and then it would deploy it. So it would generate the code, it would update the file system, it will show you the preview. Now, if you have feedback, let's just say if I tell it to like add a shark to the tank, what it actually would do is like it would take the prompt right back up to the user prompt and then repeat these steps, and it would make the specific changes that we need to add the shark into the tank. I hope that makes sense. So like it goes back and forth until you're actually satisfied with the results. So the path two is basically for command execution, which would basically be running uh, npm installs for different libraries. And the path three is like, what if I ask it to explain how we're actually putting the food into the tank, as we demonstrated in this example, like how does this work? So it won't generate code in that instant, it would just respond to me directly. So that's how the AI agent would like structure its responses, whether it's going to generate code, install libraries, or directly respond to the user. So this user feedback loop would go back and forth until you're actually satisfied with the result. This would make more sense when we just prompted it to build an aquarium, right? And it actually went it chose Anthropic's 3.7 Sonnet, guys, and then it actually came up with the context, which we mentioned here, collect relevant context, and it says user likely wants an interactive simulation. User likely requires HTML canvas and JavaScript, and it may require a structured project setup like white, right? So it will use this context into making the prompt more structured by enhancing the prompt, right? So the initial prompt was like build an aquarium, but now the prompt looks like create an interactive aquarium using HTML canvas and JavaScript. Your fish swim, users can add fish and food, and bubbles can be toggled. I didn't say any of that, it just enhanced the prompt, right? We just started with this, build an aquarium. And we're using this enhanced prompt into generating the code files. So like we got aquarium.js for canvas rendering, we got fish.javascript for fish movement, bubble.js, food.js for like the functionalities. Now that I have generated the code files, it would create the files. It would run the npm installs automatically, and it would show you the preview, which would look like this in the web container. Remember, we only started with like build an aquarium and it came up with all the functionalities itself. And the way it actually works is like, now based off the user feedback, the model either generates the code as we talk. Like if I say add shark, it would generate the code. It will either run terminal commands if I tell it to install new libraries. And if I just ask it, explain in which file you increase the fish count. So it would just respond to me without making any changes to the file, right? That's straightforward. And this would go back and forth until the user is satisfied. Does that make sense? We're open for questions if you guys have any questions. Yeah, so basically we start with the prompt, we enhance the prompt, we generate the code, we run the code, and we preview it. And then it goes back and forth with the user feedback.
Awesome. Thank you for that explanation.
Of course.
Well, I saw a few people manage to create cool things. It doesn't always obviously get the answer right on the first time. Sometimes you need a little patience, sometimes you need a lot of patience. And sometimes that's not even enough, and you have to actually start thinking about it as a programmer by reading documentation, reading the logs, and trial and error yourself by writing code.
Someone built a Spotify liked songs
Yeah.
directory. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's one area where it can get tricky. Can I share my screen?
Sure.
So let's see. So here we have a list of kind of the most common pitfalls when coding with AI. Now, these are not the mistakes made by you, but these are mistakes that are actually made by the AI. So for example, it might hallucinate or imagine that a file exists that doesn't exist. So it might import, because it's writing all these files separately, it might import one file incorrectly into another that it actually never created. That's a big one. Another big one is the libraries that it's using all have documentation somewhere on the internet, but that documentation may have been updated. The libraries may have been changed since the LLM was trained. Therefore, it doesn't. It'll often use outdated syntax or API calls. Especially with APIs, it often hallucinates things that don't exist. It might leave placeholders in the code. I think Bolt is probably pretty good with that, but sometimes it will leave a comment saying, come back to this later, or write this code later. And you obviously wanted to finish that. So yeah, sometimes the files might be mixed up. Occasionally it will make like actual programming errors. And those are the hardest. That doesn't happen commonly, but those can be the really hardest ones to fix. That's especially if you're doing something like something that's very like mathematically challenging, or if you're more doing algorithms, it can make mistakes in those algorithms. And then the general overall mistake is just I asked it to do something, but I wasn't super specific in what I wanted, and it took that idea and it created something completely different than what I was expecting. So this is sort of my list of things that I've. What do you think about that, Burhan? Is there anything else you've come across?
Yeah, it's like as I said, like the best way to learn is like trial and error, and even when AI makes the mistakes, you actually get an opportunity to look at the code and see what's up. So that's pretty important too.
Yeah, it is really important. And you notice there's a lot of similar tools to Bolt that don't show you the code, and none of those are as successful as Bolt. Because even when the AI is doing 99% of the work, yeah, you still want to be able to look and see what's happening under the hood.
Totally.
So let's move on to the second demo that we wanted to do today. Burhan, do you want to do this one as well, since I stole your fire from the first one?
Nah, you're good, you're good. It actually makes sense, like transitioning from bolt.diy to deploying it, like because we were lacking the deployment part, right? And
Yeah.
this would fix that.
So exactly. So let me talk about so this is a project that Bolt is a project that we really like and has been inspiring for us. Now Burhan and Akhilesh and Victor and Omar and I have been working on something even newer, which is also open source, and that's an open source project called Sandbox. So I'll put the link in the chat here as well. And so if anyone's used Replit before, you'll notice that this looks super familiar. Because it's an IDE in your web browser, and this project was originally, this sort of interface was originally created by someone else named Ishan, and he put this out on Twitter. He said, "Hey, I made an open source Replit." I saw it. I said, "That's awesome. I want to try it out." And I checked out the source code, and it had an amazing editor interface in it. But I realized it wasn't finished because in the back end, there was no way to have multiple projects running at the same time. Fortunately, the company that I work for is a code sandbox company, so I knew exactly how to finish it. So since then, that was about 6 months ago. Since then, we've added a bunch more features, including the AI coding assistant into this. And this is all from 6 people who've never met in person. Just we call a lot. We have a lot of calls. We chat, but we've never met in person. Just all of us working together on GitHub together. So this is when you first open Sandbox, you have this option to create a new project. Now we can add any templates into this because the backend here, when you create a new project, is actually creating a virtual machine, a Linux virtual machine, and that virtual machine can run any code. And the difference between Bolt and this, one big difference is that in Bolt, it's running the whole preview on your browser. This one is running in the server. So I want to do a Streamlit one because I think that's one that either doesn't work or doesn't work so well in Bolt. And Streamlit is a really nice library if you like building with Python. So I'll just call this Python demo. And so when I create this project, it's going to basically take the template, the Python template, the basic Python template that we have, and it's going to copy that into a new project. Now, this is pretty buggy. Even though we put a lot of work into it, there's a lot of bugs that we've run into and that we're still working on. So it's very much, I wouldn't say it's like something very stable. But actually it's taking a minute to load, isn't it? We did just test this, right, Burhan? You're muted.
We did.
We just tested this an hour ago, right? Okay,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that may just be a performance thing in the background. It just takes a few seconds to load up the project, so that's fine. So so here I'm in like an actual coding editor. I can open the files. I can look what's in main.py in the main Python, and I have the ability to, I can download this project, but I can also run it just like in Bolt directly in the browser, or really it's running it on a server in the back end, and then we're seeing that. So difference between this and Bolt would be that this link, if I copy it here, this one, if I would send this to you all in the chat, you're actually seeing the same live preview as I am because it's running on a backend server. And then here we have like a terminal, and this is also a little bit more powerful because here we can run any terminal command, and you can see like you can really you really have a whole temporary Linux computer, and that will be paused when I close the window, but then when I come back to the project, it'll come back. So the way that we use AI in this editor is we have two ways. We have like one where you just select some code and then you so here we have dark mode, light mode. It's actually got a little buggy in light mode, so I'm gonna put it in dark mode right now. But so here you can select some code, and I can click on edit code. So for example, maybe I just do something simple to start out, just like add comments, right? So that will give that'll propose something new, and then I click accept, and it has rewritten the file. It's here, it's added a comment, but I still need to Command S to save that file. Now we can use this feature for more things, but let's use the AI chat. So I click on AI chat, and then here on the right side, I have an AI chat, just like in Cursor or another AI editor. And I can choose which files I want to be editing, or I can just go with the default file here, which is the one that I have open. So yeah, let's do the same demo that we just did, where I say like make a simple carbon emissions calculator, using Elon Musk's for air travel using Elon Musk's private jet as an example. So for those of you who have used Cursor, this is pretty familiar. Unlike Bolt, it's not going to change things for you. What it's going to do is it's going to give you the code, and then it'll allow you to quickly add that in to your project. So here it says at the top, it says, and it goes pretty fast, faster than we can read, but it says, I'll create a simple carbon emissions calculator. And then here it's like kind of giving you in this block the new file here. And when I click this kind of check mark button here, it does a little bit of thinking. And then after it does that bit of thinking, it should show here in green and red the changes to make to this file. So notice now we're sort of, in the first one, we were just sort of like giving it the prompt and letting it go. And now in this one, we're sort of supervising the process.
It gives
So
us more command.
yeah. So that's why the first one is a bit more accessible. This is a little bit more powerful. So if we like that, then we can click the green check mark here. If we don't, we can click discard. So here we can click accept. Okay, and now I can hit save there. And there you notice that actually it's reloading. So if I go back to this preview, it's actually detected that the file changed. The same way if you're running in VS Code, it will detect that the file changed, and then it will refresh here. And if you all are looking at this link as well that I shared, you'll also have access to this new version. It's pretty nice. This is because of Claude 3.7, where we also added Claude 3.7 into Sandbox, and yeah, it makes pretty nice stuff just with the simple prompts, right? Did a very similar one to the one we made in Bolt, but this one is a Streamlit app. The first one was, I think, was just a plain JavaScript app. Streamlit code, one thing that's nice about that is that Streamlit code ends up being a little bit more concise if you're making like a data dashboard or something. It's less focused on getting, like, for example, here it just says make a title. We don't have to say the font, the size, where to the alignment of the title. All of that is sort of just has some nice defaults in Streamlit that makes it look very okay if you're putting out a quick calculator. So
we
yeah.
have a few questions.
Yeah, sure.
Lionel says, from your point of view, after generating something that satisfies you in terms of functionalities, how reliable do you find it with respect of code quality and security? Like once the AI generates it.
Okay, so assuming that everything works, the question is, assuming that the code works, what about the code quality and security? Yeah. I would say code quality and security, definitely not. Let's talk about Claude, generating code with Claude. I'd say it's definitely not bad, the quality that it puts out, and often the security code. I wouldn't say, oh, it's terrible for that, but the downside is if you don't read the code and it generates a lot, as you can see very quickly, you might never know. You might never even notice that there's an issue in the code. So I have found that you can get caught if you're not paying close attention. I don't have any great examples of like security bugs off the top of my head from this, but it's definitely, there's definitely been times when I've been like, oh, I caught you. That was a silly one. And as far as code quality, what you can do is like, you know, like I said before, you can select some code and be like, oh, I don't like how you wrote this. Like maybe I wanted to, maybe I'm looking for something simple, but maybe it's like, oh, I wanted this code to have a try catch block because it's not reliable. Or you can ask it to refactor, for example. Oh, that didn't work at all. Or maybe we're getting rate limited here. Or maybe you can ask it to refactor some code from a loop into a Python, I'm forgetting the word now. What's it called, Burhan, in Python when you do like a loop, but it's in one phrase? You know what I mean?
A for loop?
No, a comprehension. So like you can
Yeah.
ask it if you like the way that it's written something, you can actually ask it to write it again in a nice way. And I do that all the time. I'm like, nah, that I don't like the quality. This doesn't feel right. Write it again. So it does really well with that, with refactoring.
And CJ asks, are there any tools that do Django?
I'm sure there are. Do you know, Burhan?
Not at the top of my head, but yeah, I'm sure there are.
Yeah, so for Django, we'll definitely add that in to this because here we have Streamlit, so Django would be similar. But we don't have that, and I don't use any. Probably most people are using Cursor for that, which you have to actually, download. But yeah, that's a great feedback. I mean, if you're interested in using this for Django, or if you're interested in contributing to add the Django template for us, yeah, just let me know. We have it kind of set up so that anyone can add. I'll show you the README real quick of this project, and I'll link to it. We're gonna send you links to both of these.
Yeah, that's where open source comes in handy, because if you want to change, you could literally just make the change. And yeah, you could build your own Django.
So I would say, so here's the source code to Bolt. And then here's the source code to Sandbox. And so it could be easier, but it's actually pretty doable to add a custom template. And so these are templates we have now. But yeah, there's definitely nothing really stopping us from adding Django into this one. Otherwise, if you just want Cursor, yeah.
Yeah, great, thanks.
One last question. So he'll ask, what AI model is this running behind, which is Claude 3.7 Sonnet?
Yeah.
And is it still Claude? Yep. If so, is there no API credit limit for the user? And what tech stack is Sandbox built on?
Yeah. So right now this is running on my credit card, which is fine. You all can use it for the time being. And we have gotten a lot of AWS credits as well, that we can actually use to run Claude on. So we'll be adding those in. So I won't be paying for it anymore. And basically, yeah, for the next few months, year, we want to keep this running for free. At least have it be very have a very accessible free version of this. And the tech stack, we do have rate limits though, so that's something that is always tricky. Claude, there's so much demand for Claude right now that sometimes you have to wait a couple seconds. What tech stack is Sandbox built using? Great question. Let's go to the README. here that I just sent. So we should edit this right now, actually. So the front end is Next.js, tailwind CSS, Shad CNUI, Clerk for the authentication. Monaco is an open source code editor in your browser. Live blocks is something that allows multiple people to edit it like Google Docs, which we have disabled for now because it was bugging out, but we'll be adding that back in. And then as far as the backend, let's delete the Cloudflare workers because we've just moved all of that to Next.js. But the rest of it is correct. We're using Node.js on the backend, socket.io, Drizzle, and E2B is the company that I work for, and they create the sandboxes in the backend that runs the code and shows the live preview. So yeah, very standard Node.js TypeScript application. So yeah, that's a little demo. Definitely try this one out as well. You have the link here, and like I said, we want to make it free. It is free. We want to keep it free. That's the goal. And many people have even, I think the biggest surprise since we put out this project is actually how many people wanted not just to use it, but also to self-host it. So we've had like more than five people that have successfully gotten this running, like created their own version of this and ran the whole thing on their own web server. And that was like really inspiring for us. So we made it even easier so someone can get this running in like an hour. The way
if
that
you guys need help setting up it
Oh, yeah.
locally, you guys could like join the Discord, which is James, you could show the URL. It's pretty simple.
I just oops. That's Discord dot.
Give it the
Yeah, so I just put in the link to the Discord.
Perfect.
And it's pretty simple the way that it works. It's a little bit less the AI is less involved than in Bolt right now because we had to do so much work to make the underlying editor work well. It's a bit more, but yeah, so there's an editor, there's AI assistant, there's a terminal, and there's live preview, and that all connects to the sandbox in the back end. And then the way the AI assistant works is it takes your prompt, your chat history, and this is essentially the way that Cursor works as well, if you're wondering, is it takes or any kind of AI assistant type editor like that, like Cursor Windsurf. It takes your chat history, the contents of your file, the project structure is like the files, and it puts those all into one big string. It gives that to the LLM, and it uses often these backtick characters, this tick, tick, tick here, to separate the code coming out of the LLM from the explanations coming out of the LLM. And then it uses those to parse out the code. And that's with Claude. Now that's when you use the chat. When you click that check mark to merge the code into your project, we don't just copy and paste it, but we actually use another LLM, OpenAI GPT-4, to merge the new code with the old code. Just in the case that you're just putting a smaller block of code into a larger file, it's not always obvious where that needs to go, and sometimes things need to be renamed, re-indented in order to perfectly merge it. And we use something called predicted outputs for that, which is a really cool feature of LLMs. If you're editing a large file, that they use to really quickly speed through all the text that they're not editing, and then slow down just to edit certain lines that they need to edit. So that's the way that we do that instant apply feature. And yeah, that's how it all works. So did anyone able to build anything on this? Any thoughts for that? We're going to, of course, let you all play around with it after the workshop, and I want to give you our contact information so that you can reach out to us at any time. Let us know what you're building. We are live streaming very frequently on YouTube, cool projects that we're building and stuff that we're learning. We did a whole course a couple weeks ago on building AI agents in Python, which is also here on my YouTube channel. So I'll link to that. That was my other thought that I wanted to do for this workshop, but it's a little more. For that one, you already have to know Python pretty well. So I thought this would be a better one that everyone can join. But the Python AI agent camp that we did, it's like 5 or 6 hours on YouTube in total. It was really, really fun, and you learn a lot about AI from that.